Hitchhikers, bears, Easter bunnies, creepy men on tracks. Yup. It's that kind of video. Grab a blanket, turn off your lights for 4 Reddit stories of dangerous encounters that could have killed you. The Easter Bunny. My time to shine. I've posted this on Reddit before, but I feel reposting it won't hurt since it is to date the scariest thing to happen to me. When I was younger, I used to live by the woods and could see a cemetery from my back porch. One Easter, I remember waking up and seeing the Easter Bunny in my room, one of those terrifying costumes. And what really gets me is I remember smelling the wet hay. When I woke up, I didn't tell anyone, but there was an extra Easter egg in my house that my parents didn't hide. Years later, when I was in high school, I asked my parents if they ever dressed up like the Easter Bunny and came into our room. They said they would never go through so much trouble. Then my younger sister, who I shared a bunk bed with when this happened, said she remembers when the Easter Bunny came into our room and made a remark about the hay smell. I was terrified that we both remembered seeing a person dressed as a bunny in our room. To make it stranger, I told the friends I sat with at lunch what happened. One of the girls was my neighbor across the street. She told me, one Easter a long time ago, she looked out her window during the night and saw the Easter Bunny standing in her driveway. I had chills. To this day, I am terrified of people dressed in rabbit costumes. Bear. Ran into a bear. No, I mean ran into a bear. I was visiting a relative down in Florida. I wasn't so used to nights being so warm and balmy, so I went for a walk at around 9:30. The neighborhood was pretty nice, so I wasn't worried. No one told me that there were black bears around, and that they like to go through people's garbage. So I'm walking on the sidewalk. I cross someone's driveway. There's 2 cars on it, and I'm about to walk past the first. Meanwhile, Mr. Bear is just leaving after a good scrounge. He's between the 2 cars and about to exit. As fate would have it, our trajectories intersected. He walks out from between the cars just as I'm walking past them, and I actually bump into the damn thing. There was about a half second of my brain going, no fucking way that just happened. And I like to think Mr. Bear was thinking the exact same thing, because neither of us immediately reacted. Then I either broke the world record for backwards leaping or briefly unlocked my latent mutant teleporting ability because I zipped back 15 feet and ran for dear life. No idea what the bear did, I didn't dare look behind me. I'm assuming he didn't give chase because those things are faster than they look, and it definitely would have caught me. Maybe it was too full of garbage to feel like running. Maybe it was just relatively used to humans from hanging around the area and didn't care. Or maybe it was just laughing its ass off. Regardless, I've never run so fast in my entire life. Never, ever pick up a hitchhiker. So this was told to me by my old family friend, Nikki, numerous times as a kid growing up, as one of those life advice stories to keep in mind through the years. And to her credit, I've never forgotten about it. Whenever anything associated with hitchhiking comes up, it always springs to mind, and probably always will. Makes me a bit ill whenever I think about it, actually. So Nikki, who grew up at the same time as my dad, it was about the early 80s, I believe, was a young woman in her mid-20s. She was one of those real kind-hearted souls, always willing to help another out in a time of need, you know. And I can't imagine her being anything other than that when she was younger, so I totally see her doing this too. So, she was driving into the city, about a 2-hour or so drive from out of town. She saw a man walking down the side of the road. As she neared him, he turned and, in typical hitchhiker manner, stuck out the old thumb and arm. Nikki, bless her heart, pulled over and asked him if he needed any help. She told me that he was really polite, if not a bit shy, when he asked for a lift into the city. Nikki gave a smile and popped open the passenger door for the guy, who tossed his bag into the back seat and buckled up for the road ahead. They talked pleasantly for most of the trip, about friends, the news, etc. Just happy small talk. She felt they were getting on really well and even bought him dinner at the pit stop a little over the halfway there. She says he seemed really flustered and awkward when she paid, but one of the things they had talked about was money and how he was pretty dang strapped for cash, which was why he was hitchhiking in the first place. But he eventually relented and they went on their way. As soon as they got into the city, he thanked her profusely for the ride and the food and asked to be dropped off once they hit downtown. Before getting out, he asked for Nikki's phone number so he could contact her someday and catch up. Thrilled at the prospect of knowing how her new friend was faring, Nikki wrote it down for him and drove off with the warm feeling of a good deed done. I'm sorry if you were expecting something creepy to have happened by now, but I think this is what freaked me out so much as a kid. How nice everything seemed to have worked out. Nikki gets this crease in her forehead and a funny look in her eyes when she tells me the next part. How a week later she got a phone call from her driving buddy. He didn't let her get a word in edgewise after hello and told her that she should thank God that she was raised so nice. Because when he first got in her car, he was planning on raping and murdering her once they got to that pit stop. That he was going to steal that car and dump her body in a ditch further down the road and go on his merry way. But after she talked with him so kindly and treated him to dinner with a smile on her face, he couldn't bring himself to do it. He didn't think that he could live with himself after doing that to such a nice lady. And to please, Nikki, please, never, ever pick up another hitchhiker. Then he hung up the phone. Nikki never got a call from him again. When she tried redialing the number, she got a payphone. And so, Mr. Hitchhiker, I know I'm never going to meet you because I'm going to listen to the advice you gave your driving buddy and never, ever pick up a hitchhiker. Strangers on the tracks. This is actually my first post on Reddit. I've always read the stories in this sub and promised myself I'm going to tell some of my own here. But I'm a procrastinator. At the time of this story, I was 18 years old. I'm 22 now, so I was a freshman in college. I was going to a college in a city that was 2 hours away from home. But the city is much larger, so more creeps. I honestly don't scare easily. I'm a horror movie fanatic. I have an occult obsession, books on demonology, basically I'm a strange girl. But anyways, even though I'm an introvert, I make friends very easily. I'm a good listener, very laid back. So I make really good friends at university. We have a lot of similar interests, all stoners. All good friends still even now. Obviously, you get in a lot of trouble for trying to smoke in your dorm room, so we had to walk off campus and find a place to smoke. So finally, we went to a sweet little gym, not even a 5-minute walk off of campus. Found a deserted parking lot that cabbies sometimes park. Behind the lot is a long fence with a hole someone obviously cut out. Behind the fence are some abandoned train tracks. The tracks are in horrible shape, but it worked out just fine for a secluded spot for us to hang, so that was our smoke spot from that point on. One night, we're doing our usual smoke, listening to music and talking on the tracks. Then we get the bright idea to walk down the tracks, further down. We didn't know where the tracks were headed, or anything like that, but we were just walking really far down. On either sides of the tracks are wooded areas, so we didn't know where we were going, really. But we were enjoying the walk either way. We got a good distance from where we started, and decided to stop and spark up again. We were just joking and laughing and puffing. Then it seemed like we all knew something wasn't right at the time. We looked up and saw 3 people walking towards us in the distance. We all looked up, staring and squinting at them. I don't know about the others, but I got a really bad feeling immediately. From what I could make out, it was 2 guys and 1 girl, and they were a really great distance away. What really freaked me out was how stiff they were walking. They all walked beside one another in a line. They weren't talking to each other and joking like we were. They all seemed to be walking at the same rhythm, but at a steady pace. They were all in black. So my friend Jojo calls out to them and waves. He said, "Hello." They were looking straight ahead. They didn't even flinch. Nothing in response. So we all look at one another. We were confused and scared. They picked up their pace, and they were getting much closer. I could honestly sense the fear on us. I looked at them again, and they seemed to be walking much, much faster towards us. I was thinking to myself, am I fucking tweaking or something? Then I was thinking, no, we're not just gonna be this fucking gullible. So I turn around and tell my friends, let's get out of here. My friends said nothing. They all turned towards with me, and we started walking back where we came from. I looked back, and now they were power walking towards us. So I basically break into a half sprint, and my friends follow suit. Like I said, these tracks were in horrible shape. But you would have thought me and my friends knew every crevice because we were maneuvering. My heart was beating so fast and I was tired, but I wouldn't stop. I was the most out of shape compared to my friends, but I was the one with the most adrenaline and was really pumping that night. I was the first to reach the hole in the gate, and I slipped through and held the flap open so all my friends could slip right through with no trouble. I looked back towards the wooded area, and there they were standing in it. It was still very dark, and hard to see them because they all had black on, but I could make out their silhouettes. They were just standing still, watching us. I pointed out to my friends, and we all ran back to the dorms. When we got back, we were all shaking, not only from the scare, but from how cold it'd been outside. I have really bad anxiety, so I went to my room and basically had a panic attack. I was so scared. Obviously, we never smoked there again, and it scared us so bad. We never brought it up after that night.